committees have been working and dealing with a lot of the issues with the city of, well, actually not just the city. A lot of people don't realize that the NAACP, we actually cover from Galt to the Nevada line. So we cover a lot of territory. And so at this time, before I ask for approval of the agenda, I am going to ask Lorraine to come in and to give the House rules of how this meeting is going to go virtually with the votes and that sort of thing.
Good morning, everyone.
So,
I just want to remind.
Lorraine, can you explain the raising of?
Yes, can you everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. I just wanted to let everyone know, please remind yourself to go on mute. And if you have any questions, please direct them to the chat box, as Valerie will be managing the chat box. And also, I will be putting up a poll for approval of minutes and another action item that we're going to be voting on today. You can please submit your answers by the poll. If you are logged into Zoom, your name will be recorded so that we know who it is that is voting. So again, I'll be putting up the poll. Please use the poll on your screen to select your answers to submit your vote. Thank you. Hello? Oh, I think Penny's.
Hello? Okay. So a real quick update. I've been in contact with both Craig Powell and the mayor, who both would like to speak today. And I am going to allow a couple of minutes for each, which is something we hadn't planned, but what I have been hearing from a lot of the members, they still want to hear the pros and cons of strong mayor. So we will allow that, but I will be asking Lorraine to bring them both on around 10:35. So they're not in the chat right now, or they're not in chat. They're not in the Zoom right now, but they are coming on around 10:35. With that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. I know it was up earlier. And so can I have someone help me entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. LaMills Garrett.
Madam President,
It's been moved by LaMills.
approved as read.
It's been moved by LaMills Garrett, and state your
I'll second
name.
it.
Who's the second? State your name, please.
Ardell.
Okay, Ardell Lamone, second. And so we're going to use the electronic hands for those of you who are on Zoom. When I say all in favor, say aye. And those who are on the phones, you can verbally just say aye and unmute yourself. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
And oppose? Abstentions? So moved. At this time, we're going to have the reading and the approval of the minutes by our secretary.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sacramento NAACP, good morning. This is your Vice Secretary Stacy. Good morning. The minutes to read are Sacramento NAACP Town Hall, July 11, 2020, the Black Journalist Town Hall. We started on time at 10 a.m. Our guest journalist consisted of Courtney Dempsey, CW31, who is going on her 25th year. Larry Lee, Sac Observer newspaper, being in business going on 57 years. Sonea Ray, Fox 40, Brandy Cummins, NBC KCRA 3, Valena Jones, CBS 13, Chris Thomas, ABC 10, speaking on social justice and systemic racism through the lens of Black journalists that are impacting the African American community, as well as the challenges they face in their profession as Black journalists. This town hall is also being streamed through Betty Williams' Facebook Live page. One of the topics of conversations was the George Floyd protests and movement, which opened the opportunity in the newsroom to talk about racism as a Black man or Black woman. It also opened the door to expose the feelings of the journalists, enabling them to share their story and have a candid conversation for the first time in their career for some. Larry talked about the COVID impact and challenges, along with being actively engaged with government resources being extended to our communities through the county, and how the uprising has helped to put in perspective to show the void of our voice in the community and for healing. He also talked about the attacks on journalists and the media during these trying times. It was discussed who makes the decision of which stories are covered, which was discussed that it is important to have a diverse newsroom to weigh in on these conversations, which happens in the editorial meetings. Social media impact on journalism, not getting paid monetarily, but are receiving benefits from making contacts and new ideas for stories. They are feeling more connected because of social media. You have an opportunity to engage now than ever before, which will get you a response from them. They are feeling more connected now because of social media, which will get the response that you are looking for. It was enlightening to hear from the journalists on their perspective of the challenges within their profession as a Black professional, as they pitch stories that are meaningful to them, to see which ones will be chosen to cover. They are not censored, but must be neutral in the covering of stories, but they want to be empowering and educational and to connect with their audience and tell both sides of the story. Must be responsible, lack of diversity in the newsrooms, need diversity in the decision-making process. What advice was asked would they give in becoming a journalist? Responses consist of information is the equalizing and governing power. Outside of that power is no protection. Said not glamorous as it looks, they are needed. Those who are sincere and willing to make the sacrifice and pursue. Engage with your local journalists because you have access to them like no other time. This role is critical to our democracy. The diversity of the work is exceptional, not for the faint of heart. Your voice matters, and it is powerful to have a different perspective, especially when you are the only one in the room being a Black journalist. Being the voice for those who otherwise wouldn't be heard, being part of the delivery system. You can't be scared, connect with those that look like you, and share the commonality. This town hall is being recorded and will be accessible on our YouTube channel, where you can review all recorded videos at NAACP Secretary. To become a member or to donate, please visit our website at www.sacnaacp.com or call or text us at 916-856-0155. Our email address is secnaacp1060@gmail.com. Announcements. Sacramento NAACP Education Committee meeting will be Tuesday, July 14, 2020 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. For further information, please contact Selena Pryor at 916-831-0428. We'll be discussing our Black students, the economic injustice, and COVID. The meeting was adjourned at 11:10 a.m.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the minutes as read.
So moved. LaMills
Thank
Garrett.
you. Thank you, LaMills, for moving the motion. I need a second.
Second, Shirley Brown.
Second it,
Shirley
Ardell
Brown.
Harrison.
Shirley Brown, it's who I heard first, as the second. All in favor, say aye by electronic hands, or if you're on the phone, say aye.
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 And those who oppose, and abstentions, so moved. So the minutes has been approved as read. Treasurer, is that Shirley?
The minutes was read during our executive meeting and everything was approved from that. So unless you just want me to reread it.
So, so the treasurer's report was submitted to the executive committee
Yes.
Shirley, what are you doing? You look like you're looking into the camera. Anyway, the treasurer's report was approved by the executive committee, and anyone who would like to see, that's a member, who would like to see the treasurer's report can contact Shirley or Daphne Gauthier, our treasurer, to review the treasurer's report. Thank you, Shirley. At this time, I believe we are going into our success story. So normally, around this time, I give the president's report and a summary of a lot of the reports that our committees have been doing. However, I thought it would be a great idea for us to hear from one of our members that we had helped recently, and for them to tell the story themselves of what we've done as the Sacramento branch. And so at this time, one of our lifetime members, I would like to present to you Dr. Dana Berry to tell his story of his recent relationship with the Greater Sacramento NAACP. Dr. Berry, are you available?
I am available. How are you, Madam President?
I am good. I am good. Good to see you. Would you like to share?
I would love to share how blessed I am today. You know, I was extremely fortunate to have an opportunity to work with the NAACP to get my freedom, because I had some serious trouble 2 years ago where I was parked at a light getting ready to make a right turn, and a white boy drove up beside me in a motorcycle, hit my mirror. All I did was turn to my left, roll my window down, and he punched me in the face. After punching me in the face, he knocked me a little unconscious, and I didn't know where the heck I was. I went forward maybe 10, 15 feet in my car from a stop position. Police arrived, and they automatically thought that I had tried to kill this boy. So they gave me 3 felony charges for getting hit in the face. Did anyone hear that? 3 felony charges for being hit in the face by a white boy. So the last 2 years, I have suffered in silence and didn't really want to share my story with anyone, as I paid thousands and thousands of dollars to attorneys and tried to get out of this situation. Finally, I called on Madam President and the Vice President, Mr. Lamone, and they called me directly and got the information they needed from me. They listened in on my deposition of the one key eyewitness to the whole scene who cleared up everything for them. And I was so thankful they took time out of their day to rescue me. I'm a local dentist, and I'd never been in trouble before for any felonies or anything. And so they stepped in, went directly to the DA and demanded that she drop all charges. And she said that she wouldn't at first. And Madam President told us, you got to do this to keep my record straight. So she immediately looked at all the information, immediately looked at the deposition given by the only eyewitness to the assault and battery. And the only eyewitness to the assault and battery clearly stated I was completely stopped when I was hit in the face. And so I couldn't have been driving 75 miles per hour like they accused me of driving. Even the boy who hit me in the face said I was completely stopped. So long story short, they decided to drop all charges against me. And I got a huge burden off my back because of, I'm a lifetime member of the Sacramento NAACP, but I got a lot of pressure off my back. And now we need to go further and see if we can let the truth be heard and seen, and see if we can get this criminal off the street. So hopefully he doesn't do this to somebody else. And I'm so thankful, Madam President and Mr. Lamone, you guys have gone out of your way, above and beyond anything anyone could ever ask, to show me a commitment that the NAACP has been doing for the past 100 years or so, right? So I'm really, really thankful. I would have lost my license. and probably would have been in jail had you not stepped in, even though I was innocent. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for what you guys did for me. If there's anything I can do, and hopefully I can get on the board soon to help the NAACP, I will be there for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. And the executive committee talks about this all the time, having individuals share their story. When we go into our meetings and we go through the reports of everything that we've done for the month, we're always saying, God, the community has no idea all the things that we do and all the success stories that we have, and we need to make sure that our memberships that benefit from the NAACP, and you know, there's some people that still says that NAACP is not relevant, and so this is one of many examples to show that we are, in addition to the fact that we handled over 3,300 cases in 2019, all at a volunteer basis. So thank you for sharing your story. We appreciate it. We're glad that it happened. And you almost helped me get a new job, because the DA did offer me a job after we resolved that case. So that was all good. So thank you, Dr. Berry. At this time, I'm just going to go over a little bit with the president's report that I had submitted to the executive committee. A couple of things that I shared with the executive committee that wasn't on my president's report. And I don't know if Lorraine, you can just pull that up so that they can scan it or see it as I talk through. But one of the things that wasn't on the president's report was the fact that I had to deal with a local restaurant owner who was upset that they were given a list to buy produce and from local farmers, and no one on the list was African American descent. And most of us know that we do have an African American farmer, R. Kelly's Farms, that's been around for several decades. And the fact that they weren't on the list was a tragedy, actually. So all week I was working on that particular case, and we were able to get Kelly's Farm on the list, and so that they will now be part of the production with this program called Great Plates. Great Plates is a program that came into play with COVID for seniors. So if seniors qualify under the criteria of the city of Sacramento, they can get meals from local restaurants, and they can order. This is for free, and they could have someone pick them up and bring it to their homes for free. And so I don't think a lot of our African-American seniors know about this program. And so I would suggest that they call the 311 number and ask about the senior program or Great Plates. The other piece of this is that we've been working with others to make sure that African-American restaurants are part of the Great Plates program as well. And so that's been a challenge all by itself and a whole nother story. But we wanted to make sure that you knew about that. In addition, I've also been part of a coalition of African Americans that meet every Monday with the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors regarding COVID and its relationship to the African American when it comes to education, housing, criminal justice, homelessness. And so a number of the leaders have been pressing the county for where their funds are going from the CARES program. So for those of you who don't know, CARES program is a program that was created through COVID to help cities around the world. So on a federal level, on the federal and state level, the county has received $250 million, billion with a B. And we have not seen any of those dollars distributed into our community. That's one. Two, the CARES program also, $89 million of that has gone to the city of Sacramento. And there has been programs started for small businesses, the Great Plates and other programs with the city. And one of the things that we do, we are always at the city or the city council fighting for it, in my words, kittles and bits. $89 million is a large sum for most, but when you're across the street and they have $250 million doing the same thing. Why aren't we at the county beating our drums saying, where's that money going? And especially with African Americans more susceptible to the COVID virus. And so we've been pushing that fact. And congratulations to Larry Lee, who leaked the story last night, that they actually got a hold of documentation proving that 200 million, close to 200 million of that money, 172 million to be exact, of that money was spent on other items other than COVID. And so there is a full investigation happening behind that. We were pushing it collectively, but I brought it to the executive committee on Thursday night, and now to hear that the story has broke last night, that it appears that it was inappropriate spending, $250 million. That's something that we need to watch. And so the other piece is census. If you haven't heard, the president has actually ended census 30 days early. The self-response should have ended October 31. However, the president asked for it to end September 30th. Congress is moving to override what the president just recently did by executive order to see if that's even constitutional. But right now we are trying to make sure that everyone is counted. That's where we get our funding from. That's if we're not there, if we don't count, we don't exist. If we don't exist, we don't get the funding that we need. So we're asking everyone to watch this carefully. Right now, the new end date is September 30th, and I just needed everyone to be aware of that. Also, at a certain point when we get to some of the actual voting, those of you who are on the phone, the secretary may call you or text you to verify your name before you do an actual vote to make sure that you are a member of the NAACP, and they actually have the membership list ready and available right now. And if you vote and you're not a member, your vote would be spoiled and will be not part of it. So I wanted to let you all be aware of that. And I also just wanted to highlight if Tia Barnes, who's over our AXO program and who submitted her report on all the wonderful things that the youth group is doing and their commitment to National has moved the national convention to a virtual site. And so that will be September 13th through the 26th. And we have, I believe, 6 participants that will be competing on a national level. Our own youth will be competing in our AXO program. We also had a report from WIN and a number of things that they're doing in relationships to voting, getting out the vote, educating people on voting, and bringing together some other small business things when it comes to women. Health, they will be doing a number of things as well. They have an upcoming, I believe August or September, I can't remember, Valerie, or you guys let me know if I'm incorrect about that. Actually, like a town hall meeting on health issues. We have Blue Shield, who has committed to sponsoring us in a number of issues when it comes to health. We're going to have a drive-in event September 6th. It's going to be replacing our R&B festival. And so September 6th, we're going to be at the drive-in. Right now, the movie that we're featuring until further notice is Thurgood Marshall. And so we're also looking at having some bands there as well. We're going to be featuring some of our caterers and restaurants that will be serving foods in the car that's been challenged by the COVID. And I believe are those the highlights of the people who turned in their reports. Health, AXO, WIN, and veterans. Our veterans chair, Malachi Smith, who is always active. If you want to know anything when it comes to veterans and their activities, please let us know. Email us at the SEC NAACP 1060 at Gmail. If you want to be part of any of the committees, please let us know. There's more than enough work, and everybody works for free. So at this time, are there any questions regarding the highlights of the president's reports and other committee reports, or anything that I may have missed from the other committees? This is your time to speak.
I'm Miss Betty Tijuana.
Sure.
Did you want to touch on the kids with the summer job with the CARES money?
Tijuana, go ahead and touch on that. Thank you for that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. The Sacramento NAACP applied for a grant under SAC Youth Works and the city of Sacramento to hire 5 youth who are at home affected by COVID because of no summer jobs. And they will work on a learning-based project and get paid for it through this grant. And so on August 17th, the students will be presenting via webinar a session called The Intersection of Black, LGBTQ, and Disability, a youth perspective on how we can build a more inclusive environment. So if you're interested in that, you can email our branch, and the secretary or the office manager can email you the flyer. But that's August 17th, and it will be fully staffed by our youth, no adults.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the reports that have been presented? If not, I can't see the agenda. I think the next piece is unfinished business. Is that correct? And the unfinished business may be something I've already touched on. And can you hear me?
I can hear you, Betty. We are, yes,
Okay.
we are going into unfinished business next. And then next.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Can't hear you.
Okay, just making sure. You know how my computer just tends to die. So at this time, we're going to get ready for an action item on Strong Mayor, whether the Sacramento NAACP would be voting up or down the Strong Mayor. What I can say that we as the executive committee has, we're bringing forth a no vote on Strong Mayor. However, the rules of the NAACP says we have to bring it to our membership to either validate or not, to agree or not. And so with that being said, we are going to bring forth some speakers, and I think the mayor just texted me, Lorraine, so can you send him the link? And I don't know if Craig Pyle has been sent the link, if you can go ahead and send them the link as well.
Did you want me to send it to which email? Can you just text me, Betty?
Okay. Do we know what? Okay, I'm going to text you and the mayor so you'll know. So while I'm doing that, I would like at this point, our political action chair to talk about the recommendations that we made to the mayor regarding Strong Mayor. So at this time, LaMills, I'm going to ask you to give the list of recommendations and where we are with that.
Thank you, Betty. My name is LaMills Garrett, Political Action Chair for the Sacramento NAACP. And just over a week and a half ago, we met with Mayor Steinberg to listen to the items, his explanation of the items within the Strong Mayor proposal, or the Accountability and Equity Act. And from that, there were some recommendations that we made in that meeting and post that meeting for the mayor to consider. Those were, and I want to make sure I have them right, I think I have them listed here, that the mayor remain a part of the council, i.e. he is expected to adhere to the Brown Act. Prior versions, or at least the initial version, had him as essentially an executive officer above the city council without the expectation of meeting with constituents or being in the meetings on the same cycles as city council. So that was one recommendation that we pushed forward. The second was regarding veto powers that were included there. There was concern around those veto powers in terms of, as it relates to general voting powers of the city council members, and how that can impact constituents from the different parts of the city, and especially so on the budget that's done by the city. So we wanted to make sure that those things were done, and we shared that with the mayor. Then there was enforcement of the provisions of the city's ethics code that we provided to the mayor, in terms of making sure that those things were actually enforced, that the ethics code was in place. But so many of the things as it relates to equity and accountability can easily be done if the Ethics Commission, if the recommendations of the Ethics Commission were actually adopted and actions were taken on those. The provisions as it related to equity, specifically some aligned with Measure U and otherwise, that was actually developed by members of largely in the African American community. There was an ask that those things be separated out of the proposal as a goodwill gesture on that. I don't know if goodwill gesture is the right word, but as a point of understanding that those are separate things. The proposals associated with equity and the components of accountable or strong mayor. Other things, and so I think that's our full list, and not recounting everything that I just went through. And other things that were simply brought up were around concerns around the timing of the proposal, accountability as it relates to the city manager and department heads, and just a feeling of trust in general. And so those were the things communicated and or asked, and I will reiterate that I'm stating these in a neutral context to make sure that everyone understands these were the things that were communicated, without voicing whether it be my personal or even answering for the mayor in terms of how they responded to these things. I'll leave that to the mayor to identify those things in which they chose to change, completely addressed, or to maintain in place for the various reasons that he had. So that's it on that, Betty.
Thank you. At this time, is Craig Powell on Zoom? Have we got him on yet? And is the, okay, and is the mayor on Zoom?
They're coming.
They're coming, okay. So what, as they are coming, they will each have 5 minutes to do pro and con as far as strong mayor. And then after that, I'm going to put the action item out there for the purposes. Oh, good morning. Thank you, Mayor. Then I'm going to put the discussion out there for a vote. And so I see Mayor Steinberg. Do we have Craig Powell? Do we have him yet, Lorraine, or is he coming on?
We don't have him yet. He was sent the information.
Okay, so we'll go with what we have. If we don't have a pro and con, we'll go with what we have. We have Mayor Steinberg who made it, and I don't want to delay it because I know everything is time sensitive. And so at this point, what I can tell you, Mayor, that we went into the recommendations of what we had sent you And the things, for the most part, we left it up to you to explain what you agreed to and what you didn't, and why Strong Mayor is important to the city of Sacramento.
Thank you.
So you are on. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Betty, and thank you to the members of the board again for an opportunity. I want to begin this time, I guess, with some breaking news, and I want to put this under the category of trust, the question of trust, which has been raised a couple of times in our conversations. The Sacramento Observer reported last night that the county has now released a report detailing its $189 million worth of CARES relief, the federal stimulus relief that has aided cities and counties. Of course, the city received $89 million. The Observer reported that the vast majority of the money that the county has spent, with its nearly twice as much money as the city received, has been to reimburse the sheriff and the probation department for their, quote, extra work that they had to do during the coronavirus. In contrast, the city of Sacramento, under my leadership, and it was my leadership because I put out the very strong direction and letter to my colleagues and to the city management saying that I want our money spent on the community. When you look at the $89 million of CARES Relief Act funding, at least 80 million of the 89 is going to go directly into the community under 4 key categories. Assistance for small business, of which 75% has to be for disadvantaged businesses. Housing and homelessness. That report, in terms of its specificity is going forward on the 25th of August. Youth and workforce development. We put forward close to $20 million to support workforce development, especially in our neighborhoods. And finally, the creative economy and tourism, again, with a focus on diversity. And so I think the contrast is really important. And it does put into some perspective, while I have said to you on several occasions that I take the criticism that has come at me to heart and very, very seriously, and am always digging deeper to figure out how I can elevate my own leadership here on your behalf and on behalf of their communities. The fact of the matter is that I have begun, as mayor of this city, an inclusive economic development agenda that is meaningful and that is backed up by real resources. And so why is this important, this ballot measure? Not only does it do what I don't think any other city in the country has done, and that is actually put equity, racial equity, into the city charter, into our Constitution. Not only do we put $40 million a year, the measure you promised, into the charter of the city of Sacramento, our Constitution, but I strongly believe that if you have an accountable mayor who is elected by the people to pursue an agenda, you have a much better chance of actually seeing that agenda through if you can hold the person you elected accountable, as opposed to the diffusion of power that exists within our city that frankly you are rightfully frustrated about, because things don't get done as quickly. They don't get done with as much purpose. You know, it's interesting when you look at who's lining up in opposition to this thus far. You saw that the Sacramento firefighters came out very strongly against this. And why did they come out strongly against it? They came out strongly because I put $40 million into the charter